He's already pushing it to you, huh?
All set?
All set.
Okay, I'd like to call the Monday, July 8th, Board of Selectmen's meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So our next item on the agenda is election of officers. And I guess I can start off by making a motion for Jason to be the chair.
Second.
No interest felt?
No. You don't do that, you're gonna do computer, and I don't.
Okay,
No, you don't.
yeah, but Tom has the secretary do that.
That's true.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion
It's a
carried.
great area for me, so I'll
Yeah.
It's all yours, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Moving on. Public forum.
Oh, we gotta do,
Oh, approval of agenda, sorry.
No,
Well,
you've got
we got
vice chair and
chair.
secretary.
make a motion for Velma for vice chair.
Second. Any more discussion on that one? No? All those in favor?
Now you have secretary.
Yeah.
Secretary.
I make a motion for Tom as secretary.
Second.
Sure, motion's been made and seconded for Tom. For Tom's secretary to be secretary.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
All those in favor? That fills all the officers, correct?
That's it.
Yep.
Alright, now moving on, approval of agenda.
I'd like to add a couple items on old business. I'd like to add just a little quick thing on RSU 21 and then the video update.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second?
Motion's been made by Velma, seconded by Phil. All those in favor? Agenda's approved as amended. Public forum. Does Emily or Rich have anything to bring to the board?
Yeah.
I'm on the agenda.
Real, thank you.
Moving on. Approval of minutes, June 24th.
Make a motion to accept as written.
Second?
I didn't see anything in there.
Alright, motion's been made by Dan, seconded by Phil, to approve the June 24th minutes. All those in favor? Committee and board reports. Seeing none, moving on. Mr. Manager.
Yes, just to give you a little heads up, the water quality survey reports are now starting to come in on the Kennebunk River. They're being analyzed now, but some of the E. coli numbers are pretty significant when you get north of Downey Road, up above us. It seems to be quite high E. coli content coming into the river. So, you know, as the report comes out, you can see other areas down. When you get a little further down off of River Road, there seemed to be a significant, it looked like it might have been stormwater related that was coming there. I think up here it may be something else, but they'll keep doing their surveying, doing their analysis, and develop their report. So, what I'll do is, I will send you the E. coli report that was sent to me, so you can just have it. It has a map on it, providing different stations where they're taking water samples now. And they'll continue, I think, until the fall, and then put together their report. So, I think it'll be helpful when we start looking at that. Again, that's all grant related, so.
That, we're thinking that maybe some of the
farms may have some effect on that, or?
I think that's what we're seeing, I think that's what we're thinking at this point. Some of the farms along that Kennebunk River corridor may be impacting that water quality coming into the river, so. But they'll do more.
On both sides, right? 'Cause,
Right,
Yeah,
we got farms on both sides of that river,
yeah.
so we'll see.
Just a quick question, do they share that, they must also be sharing that information with Kennebunk, right?
Shares it with everybody that's on the committee, which Tad and I are on the committee, so we get copies of that report as it goes out. I'll make them available to anybody who wants to receive them. It's raw data right now, but.
Yeah, but you know for sure if there's somebody from Kennebunk that's on that?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
and we also have, oh God, his name is escaping me right now, who lives off of Downey Road that's on it as well. I know it as good as my.
Not Sam Howell.
Yeah, Sam.
Oh, okay.
He's attending the meetings too.
Okay.
He asked if I minded that he attended, I said absolutely not, and we'll go and take a look at it as well, so.
It's right in his backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Just to let you know that the donation box that Goodwill Northern New England has at the transfer station will be removed from there, as of July 31st. They're indicating to me that, they're changing their model of doing business, and they're, beginning to collect things at their stores and donation boxes they have at certain locations only. And I think it's the quality of the box too. I think it's been there so long that it's starting to rust out. And, I think they're just trying to tighten up the materials they get. So notices will be. We've already put up notices at the town office, and Goodwill has indicated to me that they'll put notices on the box at the transfer station, indicating to people that that will end on the 31st. The last thing I have, and again, we'll be talking tomorrow night, is the municipal building project. I think I've expressed this a number of times now to various people, probably in the room, as well as to the architect, that I'm a little concerned about the prices of the estimates that are being expressed at this point. They concern me when, we're up over in excess of $3 million in some of that. As I indicated to her, and she immediately called me, is that we need to begin the process of trimming down those costs that may not be fixed, but may have more ability to be flexible in terms of what we purchase and when we purchase it. I think there are a couple things that I want to try to nail down what's actually going to be in the contract, and what's actually going to go out to bid. And then there are various things along that were listed that may be not part of the bid, but will have to go out to some sort of proposals. And if that's the case, I think as the board and the committee may want to make some decisions as to when we want to get that out and try to get some prices back as to what costs we're related to this, so we can begin to firm up whatever cost amount that we're gonna request of the people in November. That's the other thing that's concerning me, is that the timeline, and I'll have a copy of the timeline with me tomorrow night, but I mean, we're pushing up against it as far as I'm concerned. We've got certain, the town clerk will attest to this. I mean, there are certain regulatory requirements that we have about having the warrant developed. It has to be posted, it has to be ready 45 days prior to the vote. So there are things that we're gonna be pushing up against that we're gonna have to make some hard decisions on. So, and then the final thing that really struck me was the overall furniture cost, which I thought was exorbitant. When I began to look at other furniture costs and other things that we may be able to purchase, I think we've got significant savings that are available to us, and still be able to have quality equipment for our employees to work, their workstations would be updated. I think, when we're looking at chairs that go in the meeting room, or the executive chairs that'll be in the conference rooms. The prices that they were throwing around at $450, $500 a chair, I think are unrealistic as far as I'm concerned. When I'm looking at an executive chair that we could have at $150, I think it's a good, decent chair. So I think there are things that I think we're gonna have to get a better handle on, and it's really concerning me at this point. I know you guys haven't said much to me, but I'm sure it's concerning you as well, so.
Well, I made comments back in May about the timeline, that I was concerned that we weren't gonna meet the timeline.
Right.
When we started talking about going to referendum,
Yes.
we gotta hit those. And that's when I hit Jack up and said, Jack, we need to have another meeting here to nail these things down.
The other thing that Jack and I talked about is that we're gonna take control of the meetings again. I think the meetings were sort of like a hodgepodge. I don't know about you folks, but I was totally frustrated from the last meeting. I let the architect know that disorganized, we weren't on task, we didn't get anything accomplished. The DD sets that we were supposed to have weren't available. I've expressed all this to her, and hopefully, with Jack and I, Jack will take more of a leadership role in terms of setting the task agenda and working our way through it so we can get to these timelines that we have to hit.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I certainly don't want this company either to dictate what and how much we're putting into this building, and I feel like she's taking that control now. I don't think that we need at this point to start cutting things out of this building because she's telling us this building's gonna cost us over $3 million. That, to me, is absurd.
Yeah, when I do the numbers, even on the square footage numbers she's got, we're at 1.4 million just for the building.
Yeah.
And the work that is associated with it, so I think we're okay there. I think those other items,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
she's made a comment about $10,000 per room for furniture. And
Yeah.
my God, where are you buying this furniture from?
that's just not gonna fly, and when I start seeing some of those numbers, it gives me a minute to pause. Because I don't think they're realistic for us anyway.
I would think that when this goes out to bid, and Phil, you might know this a little bit better, but I would think we're not gonna see any numbers back for probably a minimum of 2 months when that thing leaves. I don't see any company that is reparable taking less than 2 months to put a figure together for us on a bid. For someone to get that proposal and within a month spit us a number that, I wouldn't consider that to be an accurate number.
What you do is, when you put it out to bid, you put a time frame on your proposal coming back. Had to be turned in by a certain date, and most of your reputable companies will make the date. I've
But,
seen that a
So
lot.
from a timeline standpoint though,
Right.
if we count backwards from November, I would figure 2 months probably for a.
Well, the bid
Proposal.
package has to be ready to go out in August.
exactly,
Right.
because it has to meet that when
Yeah.
we post it out that we're gonna
Yeah,
have.
it has to be back the
Right.
1st of September, so we can put a warrant number together. So it's that's what we're looking at, and when you say 2 months, and you're in the profession, I get worried too.
Everybody's so busy right now, for someone to take that proposal now, they're so busy, that we're in the middle of summer. I don't see anybody that has the manpower to put a number together in less than 2 months for
So,
that building.
we're just sitting here chatting about this, but do you think it's worth our while to say that November date is not gonna be realistic for us to reach?
If you're telling
I
me
don't
that
think it's
that
the end of
has,
the world, I mean,
No,
we
I
can still
don't
go to
either.
a special town meeting if
Yeah,
we need
right.
to.
Right,
That's even simpler, in terms of time frame.
yeah, right,
Um,
yeah, I agree with you.
The unfortunate part is it may be during the
First
time
of
of
the
year
year.
when people aren't here.
Right, that's the
That's the unfortunate part.
Right,
we start pushing
can't
it
use that
beyond the referendum date.
Yeah.
We're gonna
I
lose
think these
people.
are all things that we need to discuss tomorrow night and share with the committee and
But
figure out. what we're
even if we don't do a referendum, if we go to a special town meeting, you're gonna lose a bunch of people anyways.
Yeah.
And that's
Even
kind of
in
the
November.
idea of why we want to hit, if we're gonna do it in the fall, we wanna hit the referendum,
Right.
because you're gonna get more people.
Right.
But
But to Jason's point, if these contractors really in earnest need to really, look at these and pair it and give us a good number, they may need a little bit more time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a dozen subcontractors that are gonna be affiliated with this building,
Yeah.
you know? So for a general contractor to take this in and then disperse it to a dozen different contractors,
That's a lot of work.
I don't see it coming back in a month, but I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable myself putting a number on that in a month.
Well, the number that you would put on it would be higher.
Right.
You wanna make sure that you cover your cost and then make some profit, so.
Either that or you don't bid at all,
Right.
you know, cause you've got enough work and
Right.
so what, you know? I didn't get this job, but there's a lot of other ones out there, right?
And plenty of work.
Yeah.
All things that we need to discuss and hopefully we can get some sort of direction going here. Okay. So, yeah, it sounds like you're all got the same concerns I have, so.
Saying this
With that said though, tomorrow night, does that conflict with the RSU, you might be mentioning that next, but,
their meeting is now.
oh, it's tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it might be the night, alright, never mind. Old business, so we've got an RSU 21 update and a video update.
Yeah, so a couple things with the RSU 21, at tonight's meeting, one of the things that Phil is gonna attempt to do is, try to change the dates of the meetings to Thursdays instead of Mondays. And I have voiced this concern over the years, and they've tried to set the schedule up to not conflict with our meetings. They certainly don't wanna conflict with Kennebunk's meeting or Kennebunkport's meeting. I think Thursday is the only night that there aren't any selectmen's meeting. This was brought up 2 years ago when Mary Beth was chair. I had asked Mary Beth about it, and the board at the time said, no, we wanted Monday nights, and it stayed that way. But Phil's gonna try to bring that up again tonight, see if it goes.
Did your letter go? Before this meeting?
Did my what?
The letter that you wrote?
Oh, yeah, that went, you sent that out
Day
before
after?
last.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
excellent letter.
Yeah, a couple days after we had our meeting, I
You
tended to
approved
keep
it, and you and I
Yeah.
cleared it, and away it went.
So with that, I'll talk a little bit about kind of what's been going on. I sent all you guys an email, I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but I sent an email today to Phil, to read or put on public, on their public discussion. And I did that as Dan DuBois, the resident, not selectman, you know, because I wanted to voice my personal opinion. I didn't want, because I don't know what the opinion is of the board, and so I sent out a letter just saying, hey, this is, these are my thoughts. There's been a bunch of email going back and forth between a few residents, and we were finally able to get them to add public comment to tonight's meeting. Initially, they weren't going to. The chair of the board was out of the country. The vice chair replied back and kinda said, this is our normal meetings that we just, we elect officials, we set up boards, committees, kinda like what we're doing here tonight, and they don't do business. But Phil went back, and I'm not sure who we talked to, but, so they put public comment back, on the board on their meeting tonight. I know that there are at least 3 residents from Arundel that will be there to share their concerns. I think their concern is they wanna be able to make a public comment on that before, I think there's a 30-day window where if they made a decision and they don't do anything within 30 days, I guess it's an issue with a lawsuit or, so, I'm not 100% sure what that's all about, but that's their concern, and those folks wanted it on the agenda tonight. So, that's that. I encourage you to take a look at the letter that I sent out. And I had contacted Keith and said, hey, this is my personal view, should I share this with the board? And his response was, yeah, I probably should, just in case you guys get questions on it, and, so. I think that's pretty much it.
Video update.
So, I did, at the last planning board meeting, I had a couple of cameras, I did some tests, and, I didn't like the audio quality, but I haven't had a chance to compare that to that camera yet. It was the last last planning board meeting out on the web now?
I don't know, I
Yeah,
haven't looked.
I'll check tonight after this meeting, I just haven't had a chance, I've been off on vacation playing around and, but, the video was great, I had the camera right up here and it looks really good. So I've ordered a different mic, I use the regular mic on this, and, I'm gonna try a couple other different things, but I'll continue to try a couple of different things to see if we can figure something out in the interim. And again, those mics I'll end up using at some point in time anyway, so. And the best quality was my newer camera, but that's the one that I use all the time, so. So I'm not gonna loan that one to the town, sorry, but. So, I'll continue to work it and continue to give updates and kinda go from there, so.
Thanks for that, Dan.
That's one,
Hmm?
just buy an extra one.
Sure, Phil,
Yeah,
with your money, you can buy 6 of them.
yeah.
Moving on, new business, Board of Selectmen Code of Conduct.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, annually you re-sign the code of conduct, which I provided a copy in your packet for review. It would be my recommendation to go ahead and have a motion, a second, and approve signatures on this code of conduct.
I'm with approval of our, reauthorization of our code of conduct.
Second.
Just give me a sec.
Boy, you violate all of
I'm just looking at all the
Yeah.
ones that I need to.
Yeah, check off. Yeah. I think I was talking to somebody from one of the other towns and they said, oh, we need one of those. I said, we've done this for years.
Yeah.
Alright, motion was made by Tom, seconded by Dan,
Yep.
to approve the code of conduct for the selectmen. Any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
We adopted that January 22nd, 2007.
So that passes. Selectmen policy on the payroll warrant.
Yes, the policy is put in place, so on the off meeting nights or meeting Mondays that you may not be meeting, but we have payroll, this provides a provision for one of the municipal officials, one of you selectmen to come in and sign the disbursement warrant so we can pay our employees. So I'd like to entertain a motion in a second to approve this Board of Selectmen payroll warrant policy again.
I'll make a motion that we approve the selectmen's payroll policy.
Second.
Alright, motion's been made by Dan, seconded by Phil. Now, is this something I could sign?
Yeah, let's see why
Yeah.
not.
So it has nothing to do with fire department pay or anything like that?
Well, it does have something to do with.
Well, I understand it
fire
does,
department.
but
But what we're doing here is just providing the ability for one of you folks to come in.
sign for it.
Yeah.
Alright, all those in favor? Okay,
There you go, +1.
plus one. Annual appointments.
Yes, annually, there are certain appointments that are made, per charter by me that need approval by you folks. They're listed, all the way from animal control officer down to tax collector. They were in your packet. I'd like to entertain a motion in a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Velma, seconded by Tom. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
You probably have to abstain.
You have to because of Emily, yeah.
You cause so much trouble.
I'm just gonna have to resign.
Alright, 4 yes, 1 abstention. Alright, the fun part, appointments to various boards, appeals, budget, planning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to start with the planning board. We've got appointments to the planning board, the Board of Appeals, as well as the budget board. We had two positions that are open on the planning board. Chairman Rich Ganong has indicated he would like to be appointed again, along with Roger Moran have indicated that they would also like to be appointed again. So it would be my recommendation to go ahead and reappoint Rich Ganong and Roger Moran to the planning board.
Looking for a motion for that?
So moved.
Motion made by Dan, by Tom, rather, I'm sorry. Seconded by Dan. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
I have some nomination papers here that you can sign, and then we'll have them come in and swear at the town clerk.
Have you ever had anybody come into the office and say that they'd like to be part of planning board? Only when it's been advertised, that we're looking, right?
Well, we've advertised it before, but we just haven't had much luck. Usually it's word of mouth. I know Sue Roth came in and asked to be on the planning board, so. Next one is, we had one opening on the Board of Appeals. Paul Chansky would like to serve again. Would be my recommendation to approve Paul Chansky again for the Board of Appeals.
Make a motion, we approve Paul Chansky for the Board of Appeals.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Velma. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Finally, right now, under the budget board, Jack Reach used to be a elected official. This year he chose not to run, so one of our new elected folks is Mandy Grenier, but we still have the ability to have another person serve on the budget board. Jack has indicated he'd like to continue to serve, so I'd like to entertain appointing Jack Reach to the Arundel Budget Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Velma, seconded by Dan. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor?
That's all I have for appointments this evening.
Planning board chairman is here to discuss the modification of subdivision rules, street design, and construction standards.
Yeah, can I ask a question before we move to that?
Sure.
Are you gonna bring up at some point the various, boards that we cover? I know usually we talk about that, we appoint.
Oh, yes, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, the boards that you cover, who's on the budget board, and that kind of thing. I've neglected to bring that forward tonight. My apologies. I'll do that in your next business meeting.
As stated prior.
Thank you. You've all got the proposed revision. This came about because we had somebody that is working on a subdivision next to Phil's property out on Route 111. And they've been told that they will not be allowed to have a second means of access onto Route 111 by Maine DOT because of the proximity to the new road and a whole bunch of other stuff. They're going to be generating more than the 250 trips a day. They asked us what we could do about it, and from a planning board point of view, it's pretty straightforward because it's in the subdivision section, so we can make that amendment without having to go to a town meeting. We decided that would work out well, but in order to do that, it would then cause a conflict with the Arundel street design. So I've given you both of the items. I can't say that we've decided Tad and I looked at it today, and we're going to recommend to the planning board that the entire section of the Arundel street design go in place of the wording that is in the subdivision right now. Because in the subdivision, it says any street with an average daily traffic of 250 trips per day or more shall have 2 street connections to existing roads. The Arundel street design says developments containing over 25 dwelling units or which generate average daily trips of over 250 trips per day need to have 2 exits. So we decided that we would adopt that language, but we also want to put in something that would allow somebody that's on Route 1 or on Route 111, which are the 2 major roads, to be able to go in if MDOT says, no, you cannot. You cannot have a second entrance. If they say that to the people that want to do the development, it's dead.
Right.
So we thought, rather than wait for that to happen, we get a little proactive and say, we can fix this problem now. But we then discovered that it's the same problem that the land use or, the Arundel street design and construction has. Because if we change the subdivision, there's gonna be a conflict between the 2. So we're asking the selectmen to have a public hearing and to modify it so that both ordinances say exactly the same thing. We're gonna have a meeting on Thursday, and we're hoping to advertise a public hearing so that the subdivision ordinance can go forward with its change. And I don't know, I'd like it if the selectmen were able to work alongside at the same time, but I don't know if you guys have a timeline that would allow you to do that, because we're looking at having a public hearing on the 25th of July. But once we've had a public hearing, you guys need to have a public hearing and you need to go to town meeting to make that necessary change. So we were kind of wondering if you guys could do that, if you could have the public meeting with us, it would only be one public meeting that way, and things would be able to proceed forward. The person who wants to do this right now can't move forward. They don't know whether or not they're going to be able to do anything until after there's a public town meeting that indicates, yeah, you're willing to make that change.
What do we do with someone that generates 250 trips a day somewhere other than Route 1 or Route 111
They have to have a
And-
separate means of.
and have no way of having a second egress? What happens then? They're dead too, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Why do we have to have that in there at all? There are hundreds and hundreds of entrances onto roads that have that many trips with one egress.
As I remember, Phil, Tad brought that up, this was a requirement, either at the state level or something like that, that once you got to that
Right.
level, you had to have 2 means of access.
Once you get to the 250, you have to have,
And I don't know what the source of it was, but what.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering.
Yeah, but Tad brought up something about that we had to have that in the ordinance.
yeah, it's something that MDOT
Or something.
requires, and we're looking at it, say, specifically from a business point of view. Because it's highly unlikely you're going to have a residential subdivision that generates more than the 250. So from a business point of view, if we don't fix the ordinance, we're gonna chase away business that may wanna go into the BI district or the development that's right next to you. Even if this particular business doesn't go through, if they expand their development enough or their subdivision enough, they'll end up meeting the 250 trip requirement. Arundel Machine, if they do any expansion, any more expansion out there, they're faced with the fact that they may end up having 250 trips and they're gonna have either a second means of access or some other way to solve the problem. We're not saying to do away with the second access. We're saying to do away with the second access if Maine DOT says, no, we won't let you.
So, for whatever reasons Tad brought that up last time, we need to make sure that we're not going against what regulation he's using to, right?
I just noted it. I'll
Because-
notice, cause Tom and now you talked about that maybe there's a reason for that 250 trip limitation, so I'll find out what state statute he's
Yeah, I don't know if
referring
it's
to
something-
I don't know what the state statute or what it was, but I
Fire.
remember he raised the issue that we have to have this because of some other requirement in someplace.
Okay. I'll double check
Yeah.
it with him.
So how do the cottages do it? They gotta,
They got some kind of special dispensation from MDOT by putting in a turning lane. I don't know how that worked, because I have the same question.
and should we, I mean, if this goes through, should we include Log Cabin Road? Because that's a state road as well, right? Would that be another,
Is Log Cabin a state road?
That's
Yeah.
state aid, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
surprisingly.
yeah.
It's maintained by the state.
We could just change it to say that any MDOT road.
So, I didn't attend a lot of those meetings when we did the street design, but wasn't the original intent to kind of take, so that we wouldn't have two areas of this, and so, you know, we have our street design and construction, and then we have the subdivision regulations. And I thought the intent was to kind of put all of that stuff into one spot. Maybe I
Trying
missed
to
that.
prevent them from overlapping.
Right, cause, you know, the Arundel Street Design and Construction Ordinance, the original intent was, it had nothing to do with subdivisions, right? That was just, by itself, you're gonna put in, you know, a new road, whatever.
Well, that had to do with subdivisions too, any
Yeah.
road construction.
Anyway,
Yeah. But we have this in two places here again.
Well,
Well,
that's
they
one of the
got
reasons.
their own regulations, okay?
Yeah, but I thought that I thought that their regulation was gonna point to the Arundel Street Design Construction Ordinance.
Well, that's one of the reasons we wanna have exactly the same language in both spots.
Why don't you just per the Arundel Street Design rather than rewrite it all over again? Cause now you gotta go do your thing and we have to go do our thing if we're gonna make changes down the road. You make the change once and point to the Arundel Street Design and Construction Ordinance and you never have to deal with it.
We'd still have to deal with it, because we'd still have to be, in this case, we have to come to you and say, we have a potential applicant who needs to have a change made, because they can't do what they wanna do.
Fair enough, but then it's only one place that you gotta make the change, it's only one board that has to make the change. Now we're kinda duplicating efforts to make the same change in two different spots.
But there are things that we can do within the subdivision ordinance that do not require town meeting. We can change the subdivision simply by holding a public hearing and then say, okay, we're gonna make that change, and it's done and can proceed forward. If it comes to any of the, if it's a land use ordinance, or if it's the street design ordinance, that has to go to town meeting.
That's
Subdivision
not
changes
Dan's
don't.
point.
No, right.
Oh, then
Dan-
I'm missing his point.
Right, you're missing, he's saying, the focus was to have the street design standards uniform
period.
everywhere, even for the planning board. So your regulations should say, when it comes to street design, look at the street design ordinance. That's what we follow, not any different regulations the planning board may have. Am I right, Dan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's what he's saying. So your regulations would say, under street design and construction, or whatever the category is, see or under street design ordinance. And that's where you would go.
Then I think you're gonna have to beef up the street design ordinance. I don't think there's enough in there, because you really don't cover that much in terms of the street designs within subdivisions.
I think we went through that, and you got some
Yeah.
pretty rugged standards there.
That was the whole intent, and
Most,
I
from
couldn't.
most of what I saw, it dealt with the private ways and the number and the access on private ways
No, we
and
went
the
through the
construction standards.
entire street design land use ordinance, start to finish. I didn't think we were gonna
Okay,
do
that-
that, but we did.
Yeah,
I may
did,
have
so
missed
that's what
those.
we did.
I remember going through a lot of the private ways and
We did.
touching on the very beginning of the street design. I don't remember going through
We
the rest
went
of
through it line by line,
Okay.
and I think it
Yeah.
relates to everything. We had Phil, Mark, and Roger, and Terry there, I mean, they've given us a lot of advice on standards that are all now in the street design ordinance, you may wanna take a look at it, but,
Oh, no, I remember most of it.
yeah. But I think it covers most everything in the subdivision context.
So, I mean, I'm in favor of this, you know, obviously we need to try to do something to help these guys, but I don't like the fact that we have the same
Again,
verbiage in two different
two different
spots,
spots, yeah.
so.
I'll bring it up Thursday night.
Yeah.
As far as moving forward here, if we were gonna change the ordinance, I mean, what do we need, 30 days before public hearing? No?
No, it's
It's just town meeting, so we don't even need a public hearing, do we?
No, I need 7 days to post.
7 days to post the warrant.
We could do it at our next business meeting
Right.
if we actually wanted to.
Mhm.
That would be great.
Okay.
Well, I mean, wouldn't we just wanna time it when they're ready, kinda do it all at the same time, that way everything is all done at once, well, not at once, but all done within the same time frame. I mean, there's no rush for us, it's okay to get it done, but there's no rush for us to get it done, cause they
You're
still
gonna
have their
do
piece
yours
to
on the
do.
25th?
I'll do it, yes.
I don't have my calendar with me.
Can I ask, how close is BDF to being denied because of this excess?
We have told them they need to prove that MDOT will not let them do it. They have to get a letter from MDOT